If you'd like to see more of our videos, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube or follow us here on Instagram. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMtrading. Today is January 29th, 2020, and today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the major economic events of the day out of the United States at 9 p.m. South African time, we have the first FOMC funds rate for 2020. This is a major interest rate decision, so you do want to know what's coming out. Now, this is also on the back of the fact that a lot of quarterly reports coming out for U.S. corporations, which means that it gives us some indication of how they're doing financially. I'm going to take a look at a couple just now. Now, looking at the Forex markets first, Canadian dollar retraces after that nice little rally to 132. We're going to take a look at that in correlation with the price of oil as it bounced as well. Now, looking at the Dow Jones, it rallied yesterday after consumer confidence results, as well as Apple coming out with earnings. But the question is, will it continue? We're going to take a look at a couple of options there. Now, looking at commodities, gold pretty much unchanged. Well, all bounced, okay, at support, like I mentioned, with the Canadian dollar as well. Okay, we're going to take a look at both of them and see how they correlate. Now, lastly, looking at the stocks, Microsoft and Facebook are set to release quarterly earnings before the market opens, before the U.S. market opens later today at around 3:30-ish South African time. So you do want to know those numbers are coming out. But let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to first take a look here at the Euro USD, and I just want to highlight the fact that the Forex symbols haven't been volatile, okay? They haven't been trading in such a wide range, okay? And case in point of that, okay, is right now we're looking at the Euro USD trading at 110.16, okay, bouncing off of yesterday 102, okay, which is basically a 13 pip move, okay? So even if you're trading 10 lots, okay, the margin of error here is just so slim that it's almost very difficult, okay, to tell you the truth. It's very difficult to trade Forex right now. So I would put my attention more in the Dow Jones and more at U.S. bank stocks, okay, especially with this number coming out later today with the FOMC. Yes, you can trade the euro versus the USD. They are correlated to the interest rates, that numbers that are going to be coming out later today, but you have greater volatility in the indices, okay, in the indices and U.S. bank stocks, okay, and we're going to go cover them as well in this morning's review. Now, looking at the price of the Canadian dollar, we said it hit this 132-ish level, which was previous resistance, and as this actually retraced, getting stronger versus the U.S. dollar, the Canadian dollar getting stronger versus the U.S. dollar, it was also simultaneously that the price of oil was bouncing off of support. So those two were correlated beautifully for a nice little retracement. Now we're looking at this retrace to 131.60-ish level, which is about a 40 pip move, which is half decent, okay? It's not a major home run, but it's, you know, it's a nice play for a Tuesday afternoon, okay, to actually play this on the short side, you know, and to take advantage of that retracement for the US dollar and the nice bounce on the price of oil. Now jumping into gold, we pretty much have retraced to previous levels before this massive virus came out of China. Now this, if you've been following the news, this virus has expanded to many other countries besides China, but it seems like it's containable, okay? It's not like the SARS that came out in 2002. It's not, you know, it doesn't seem like it's going to be an epidemic, which was a tremendous scare for mankind, okay, altogether, right? So with that said, the price of gold has retraced a little bit further to 1566. Now, looking at a 4-hour chart, you can see that we're at previous resistance minor support here at 1566, so it does breach it. Then we could definitely go back to the 1553, but it seems like, you know, gold is comfortable here, okay, where perhaps in the next few months it might rally higher, okay, or it's topped out at this level, okay, and may retrace as we go into March, April, May, okay, so something to consider as we continue trading this into 2020. Now, looking at the price of oil, now this is what I'm talking about. We bounce off of this $52, okay, let's look at a 4-hour chart just to give us, it wasn't a massive bounce, but a decent bounce, okay, $2 for a day for the price of oil, which is trading at 52. That's a decent move, okay, so we're trading right now at $54 a barrel. Now we are hitting a little bit of a minor resistance-ish area because we're closing the gap here, so we may see it, further retrace. Something to consider as this trades further today. And if that happens, that means that the price of the Canadian dollar would continue to depreciate versus the USD, and it will bounce. Okay, so it's something to consider going into today. Now, looking at the Dow Jones, all right, so a couple of points here. Dow Jones reflects more the traditional US stock markets, which means it reflects the old time, the old economy kind of like basket of stocks. Okay, banks, financial institutions, mostly the major composites of like the oil companies, telephone companies, networking companies. Okay, not the high tech companies. Okay, that's the Nasdaq. Now, we've mentioned that before, and so as you can see here, it's not as buoyant as the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq has been really buoyant, very aggressive on the upside. The high tech stocks seem that like they're really the ones that are leading the market higher. Okay, the FANG stocks, as we've spoken about this several times. Okay, however, today's going to be a deciding factor for the Dow Jones because the FOMC rate decision is mostly affecting Dow components. Okay, Dow companies. All right, so with that said, you could see here that we haven't filled the gap down yet. Okay, from where we had from Monday, okay, when we came in to the market on Monday morning, we haven't filled that gap. Okay, we're trading at 28,766. When we look at the Nasdaq, we filled it. Okay, so it's much more buoyant. Okay, Nasdaq stocks are much stronger, and I mentioned this the other day, right? This was one that I mentioned the other day that this barely came in. Okay, then we're looking at Facebook right now, and it would be the one that's going to probably jump the highest. And sure enough, it jumped $5 since Monday. Okay, now looking at some of the other components, so Facebook, just as I mentioned earlier, is supposed to report quarterly earnings at 3:30-ish time today. So you do want to know what's coming out. You can trade it before the market opens anyway, so it may gap up if the numbers are great, but you want to keep an eye on it as it unfolds. Now looking at Microsoft, same story. Actually, in fact, didn't just close the gap. It's a little bit higher. Okay, so a little bit more optimism in Microsoft than in Facebook, but just realize that that's the case. Okay, well, this has been kind of like, a never-ending story here over the past 6 months that the stocks are taking rotation. One leads, then another one leads, then another one leads, and they are taking their rotation. Okay, up until JP Morgan hit a snag, right? We mentioned this. It hit this double top. Okay, right here at 141-ish level. Okay, you could barely see that. But right here, we hit a double top at 140-ish level, and then we retraced. Okay, which is fine. That's normal of the markets to do. And now we're bouncing off of this 130-ish level, okay, which was previous resistance, subsequent support, okay? And we're right smack in the middle of this, right below our moving averages. So JP Morgan's going to be tremendously affected by this FOMC later today. Okay, so I am looking for some positive news from the FOMC to give us that rally in JP Morgan. Now, JP Morgan is one of the more traditional bank stocks in the United States. Okay, they really reflect, what the market's doing between JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. Those are the two that you want to look at. Okay, if we look lastly at Tesla, you wouldn't even think that we had any sort of issue earlier this week, right? Look at that. Didn't budge almost from its highs from 592. We're trading at 566. An amazing explosion here from Tesla. Okay, so relative strength here in Tesla, and Tesla's listed on the Nasdaq, so that's another example of where you see the high-tech stocks or the stocks that are new age stocks are actually breaking out higher and leading the markets higher. Okay, so we may see a pickup in the Dow Jones as well. So keep that in mind going into today. I do expect volatility, so do trade responsibly. Put in stop losses. Make sure that you're not chasing, any of those bad habits you want to keep away for today. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.